Hi, this is Coach Brian with Cause Events, and welcome to Coach's Corner. So today, I am going to be answering a question. I'm going to start doing some of these that I see on some of the groups that I subscribe to, and there's a lot of questions from beginners and even some veterans and intermediate type people that always have questions. There's always questions in triathlon. I'm always asking questions. So this is a shout out to Mohammed Salah on Triathlon for Beginners for this question. How do you train in hot weather? And yeah, we're in the middle of summer here, and I live in Southern California, and though right now it's May, nearing the end of May, it's gonna get warm, and we're getting humidity, but the days aren't too hot yet. But when we get into August, it can get pretty hot and humid, and then you get into September and October, and you've heard of the Diablo or Santa Ana winds that blow here in California, and it's bone dry and triple digits. Well, we have to train in hot weather too, but sometimes the race is in August or in September or October, and you get into the heat of that day, and even in the morning sometimes it's way too hot. But if you're doing something like running a marathon, half marathon, a triathlon, you're going to encounter, especially some of the longer races, some real heat and some significance, especially here in Southern California. Now, in Florida, you have more humidity typically than we do here. You get to some of the higher temperatures in Texas too. You get a lot of that. So I understand about training in hot weather, and running or exercising in high temps, it sucks. It really does. It's not comfortable. I haven't had the pleasure to really have to do it lately. I've been kind of on the injured reserve for the past year or so. But, you know, I still have to get out there and train. And I remember one year, it was 104 degrees outside, and I thought, you never know what you're going to get on race day. So I went out there and I ran a 5K. And by the time I got back from finishing, my water bottle that I took with me, normally on a 5K I won't even bring anything, but I took a water bottle that day. It was 3/4 empty, and it was hot to the touch. That's how warm it was outside. It even gets worse in humidity. The higher the humidity, the harder it gets, because you're not evaporating moisture off of your skin or your clothes. It saps your energy. Your heart rate goes up because your body's pulsing more blood around the body to keep you cool. It depletes your electrolyte supply, so you have to make sure that if you're doing a longer event, you're going to have some electrolyte with you. And it may cause a variety of illnesses or injuries, such as heat exhaustion or heat stroke, or just mild dehydration. And I've had some of these at various times. I was a boiler technician, so I worked in the coolest place in the boiler room was 120 degrees, and it was not in any way, shape, or form comfortable. It was hot and miserable and humid all the time. But it was just the way it was. It does offer benefits. It trains your body for that tough race day, because you never know what you're going to get on race day. I've gone out there and been in a race, and it's been cool and cloudy and just lovely for a marathon. What a wonderful day. Probably mid-60s the whole day. And then the next year, same race, I turn around the corner and the sun's right in my face. And then another time, it started out cloudy, but the clouds burned off and we were left with just humidity. So it was not comfortable that day either, but it trains your body for those days. Makes you start thinking about ice baths. Nothing will make you think about a cold bath in an ice bath, or in a cold pool, or jumping into a cold lake or the ocean, than working out in the heat. Forces you to plan on how to manage heat and the suffering of exertion in the heat. It does take a plan. It takes a plan on how to hydrate, how to eat. It takes a plan on how to focus your mind so you can get through it. And if you take care of all the the nutrition and hydration needs, then it's just about focusing your mind and enduring and possibly daydreaming while you're doing this and starting to just take your mind off the suffering and enjoy the run or the bike ride or whatever you're doing. How to make it easier? You can't. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But like I said, if you daydream and just take your mind off of the discomfort, you can start enjoying it a little bit more. Wear light, sweat-wicking clothing. This is a nylon shirt. I went working out this morning at the gym, and I always wear something that's wicking when I go to the gym, and it pulls the sweat away from your skin, allows it to dry off. And we've all picked up a wet shirt and how cold it feels to the touch because it's that evaporation that's cooling it off. Drink proper hydration solution for the conditions. Making sure you use the proper electrolyte. If you're going and running a short run or you're going for a short bike ride, it's not going to take a lot, maybe just some simple Gatorade. But you get into some of the longer pace things and you're going to have something with more electrolyte in it, a solution that's more, has a higher concentration of salts and minerals and things that your body's going to need. Magnesium, potassium, calcium, all that stuff is really good. How about a slower pace? As the heat, especially when the humidity goes up, just slow your pace down a little bit. Okay, and the higher it goes, the slower your pace is going to have to be because your body can't dissipate that heat as fast, especially on a hot and humid day. Eat correctly, light meals, carb-based, not heavy proteins or anything. That will be hard for your body to manage digesting that, and it's a great way to get heat cramps. Don't forget the sunscreen. If it's hot outside, it's probably sunny too. It may not be, but even on lightly cloudy days, I'm under a tree right now. We've got light clouds out there. If I was out in the sun for any length of time, yeah, it would start having an effect on my skin. And you don't need that skin damage from the sun. So do your sunscreen. Make shorter sessions. You don't have to make a long session just to get that heat training. And I really do think we all need heat training when we're doing these events. Work out earlier in the morning or later in the evening instead of going at the heat of the day. The heat of the day is typically sometimes probably from 11 to 3, which is your heat of the day. It usually apexes here around 2 p.m. And so that, then it cools off pretty fast. Work inside on high heat and humidity days. That's when you go to the gym and just hit the treadmill. It's a lot more comfortable doing that on the treadmill when you're inside. I was on the treadmill this morning simply because I'm recovering from a couple of injuries and I need an absolutely controlled environment. I don't need any missteps, and so I'm working on the treadmill. I should be back running outside in a few weeks, but I just want to get the initial endurance up with the treadmill. Take regular breaks. There's no harm in taking a break. Stopping, getting in some shade, relaxing, taking some electrolyte in, and recovering a little bit before you move on. And it's going to be beneficial for you to take those frequent breaks. And this goes for those of you who have high physical jobs outside. Taking regular breaks, doing your hardest part of your work in the morning or in the evening or later on in the afternoon at the end of the day is probably a little easier than doing the hardest part of your work in the middle of the day. I know that's not always possible, but it is beneficial if you can. So that's what I have for you right now. I probably missed a whole bunch of stuff, but that's okay. That's why we continue doing these videos over and over again. Because, and a lot of times the questions are a little more nuanced than this. This was just a quick answer to a simple question, and hopefully it helps. Now, if you find my content beneficial, help a brother, help a sister out there who could use this by liking this, and help the algorithm will start seeing this as beneficial for people and start pushing it out to more people. Subscribe if you like. There's a lot more content I have, and there's a lot more content coming up. But with that, I'm going to say adios here, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.